Got it in your yard. Okay, what was the big epidemic we were talking about a few years ago? What flu?
Avian flu.
Not avian, swine. Swine flu. What was the treatment for swine flu? Huh? Tamiflu. Tamiflu is made out of star anise. It has what's called shikimic acid in it. Actually, sweet gum has shikimic acid in it as well. So you can make a tea out of sweet gum, the green balls, pound them up, put them in a fruit jar, pour vodka over it, and make a tincture. And that makes a real powerful home version of Tamiflu. So we'll really, what it'll do is vodka, because you do 80 proof vodka, and you're getting 40% alcohol, 40% water. And that gives you your tincture. Leave it for a week, and you're good to go.
So does the alcohol go away? Like if you have somebody that's not supposed to drink alcohol?
No, if they are absolutely not supposed to, cannot drink alcohol, though you make the same amount of alcohol in your body digesting a banana as you do taking the tincture. You can use other things. You can even use vinegar, you know, or you can make it as a tea, as a water extract. So it doesn't have to be a tincture. Tinctures are stronger, but you can make it in a tea. In fact, when I was first learning from Tommy Bass, he always said just get you some sweet gum bark, boil it, and then drink it for the flu. You'll cure it. But use the green fruit, because that's where the highest amount of shikimic acid is. And then what part do you use next? Somebody? Leaves, then the bark. And the further away you go from the fruit, the weaker the shikimic acid level is, the lower it is. Alright, people in my class, what else do you use sweet gum for? See? You think y'all not part of it. Somebody. Here, we'll let y'all by in just a second. Go ahead, get by.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. I didn't.
The other way.
I thought you were
you're
in the class.
Sorry, interrupt me.
No, you're not. You're not from at all. Okay. So what else can you use sweet gum for, Mary Ellen?
Why are you putting me on the spot?
Because you're looking. Judith? We just discussed it this morning. Put the leaves as a poultice, a hot poultice, on arthritic wrist, finger. What else? Internally. Remember when we made up the congestion formula, we put sweet gum in it because it is a stimulating expectorant, brings phlegm up and off the lungs. Very good for getting rid of, if you've got bronchitis, a lot of bronchial fluid, it'll make you cough, it'll help you. It's one of the herbs that'll help you cough it all up. What else is in it? Okay, anybody remember the botanical name? Skip?
No.
Liquid amber styrofluix. It is in the family that you get tincture benzoin from. So you can take the resin and put it on cuts to help heal them, take the pain out. Anything else?
That thing's just a pain in the butt.
Only if you step on them. Any other uses for it? You can chew the resin or chewing gum. It's a good aromatic chewing gum, and you can make perfume with the resin. The signature told you what a plant was good for. So if it would open up the eyes on the sweet gum when you boiled it, it would open up your sinuses. So you use it to open up stopped up sinuses. You boil it and drink the tea out of the green balls. We can say one spot for now. Alright. Alright, the tree is tulip poplar, also known as yellow poplar, also known as white poplar. But it's actually a magnolia. Remember the magnolia family. And as a magnolia, we were discussing in class this morning, it's very good for arthritis. It's an anti-inflammatory. It's also listed as a bitter tonic, even though it's not bitter, and that it would work on the liver and help you if you needed to gain weight, it'll help you gain weight. If you need to lose weight, it'll help you lose weight, because it makes you digest your food better, and use the bark of the tree. But if you notice, the blooms look just like magnolia blooms, except that they're yellow, orangey yellow, and it's in that same family. Recognize this one. Tell them what it is. Oh, you look like a volunteer. Open wide. Say goodbye.
Sourwood. Tell him sourwood. Go for telling.
That's my husband. He doesn't buy it.
Tell him. Right here.
Reminds you of what?
Tell him. She knows what it is.
Ask her.
What is it, sweetie?
It's a sour wood.
Very good. You win the prize for the day.
We're not even with y'all.
So why do they call it sourwood? Not because not because of the sour taste, but because if you have sour stomach, gas on your stomach, you eat several of the leaves and it'll make you burp and get rid of the gas. So that's why they call it sourwood. It also is what's called a refrigerant herb, which means if you've got a child or even an adult and you want to cool a fever down, you give them a tea out of this and it causes the body to cool down from the fever without raising that temperature. Because like if you take a little kid, you can't raise their core temperature up a whole lot or you'll make them have febrile seizures. With this, it just cools it down without causing them to break a sweat. You can also, take this and make bows and arrows. It makes a real straight shaft. Really good for that. All right, the next one. My goodness, you look hungry.
Starving.
Very good. All right, take that and eat that. You'll really like this. These are the young tendrils on sawbriars.
Like lettuce.
Okay. If you take it, steam it.
I'm just a crazy person who likes
Got an Auburn shirt on and he's still smiling today.
Yeah, I'm just my. Yes, sir.
Oh, you're fine. Anyway, that's the sawbriar, what's called a smilax. You can eat it until it quits being tender. But if you take it and steam it with a little bit, and then put a little butter and salt on it, it's really good. And in fact, in the woods, everywhere you go, the deer will snip every one off they can find. But it's from the smilax or sawbriar family, or what we used to call sarsaparilla. So the root is the part that was used to make sarsaparilla drink. And it is a good source of, Sean, do you remember? Cortisone. But it's a cortisone precursor, so it's good for your liver and doesn't hurt your liver. It's very good for arthritis, we discussed this morning. It's anti-inflammatory. Very good for irritable bowel syndrome because it reduces the spasms. But if like you go to the health food store and get tincture of smilax for men for bodybuilding because it builds muscle mass in men because of the precursors to the steroids in it. And you make jelly out of the roots if you want to go to that much trouble. Bigger than this. The wood has the same bending value and strength as hickory, so it makes real good bows. Okay, Jane's favorite tree. It's a dogwood. All right, everybody knows the dogwood, but you know how you always identify it? How? By its bark. Get it? Bark. Dogwood. Anyway.
Or slow.
Who's from up north? North of Fort Payne, like up north. Anybody? All right. Well, they won't admit it, right? It's like Auburn fans just won't admit it today.
I know you did not.
Anyway, back to the war between the states when we couldn't get through the Yankee blockade. Dr. Francis Porcher, who was a Confederate doctor and planter in South Carolina, put together a book called Resources of Southern Fields and Forests. And in it, they went back to some of these old remedies for healing conditions that we couldn't get, like cinchona from the South American continent, for malaria, yellow fever, etc., which was in epidemic proportions in Alabama. A lot of people don't think of yellow fever and malaria as being in this country, but the lowlands of South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, it was everywhere, and was the reason they moved the capital from Montgomery to Richmond, even though it's got swamps around it. But they found that if they took the dogwood berries, say you're perfectly healthy, you take too many dogwood berries, it'll give you the symptoms of malaria. It doesn't give you malaria, but it gives you the symptoms, which are night sweats, chills, fever that comes and goes in a cycle. And so they figured, according to that what they called like curing like, that philosophy or theory, that if you took it and it would cause those symptoms, then it would cure those symptoms. And this was dried. The berries were dried for a year because you wanted the chemical level to get low enough that it wouldn't give you also the side effects of quinine, which are leg cramps and an upset stomach. And then they parched them in these big ovens in New Orleans, dried them, parched them, then they put them in their tonics, sent them out to the soldiers, and it was considered as effective as quinine. And in fact, the Yankees also started using this when they would run out of supplies. It was considered that good. The bark on this will whiten teeth, used as a toothbrush, and it's good for Meniere's disease, ringing in the ears. The Creek Indians make their stick balls for their games out of the wood of this a lot of times, because it's so hard. Smaller amounts of it, because you can use this without aging it for a year, but you have to take very small amounts, or it'll cause real bad stomach cramps and leg cramps. And so if you're going to sort of cheat on that aging process, most things you think, well, if you let it age for a year, it's going to be worthless. Well, some things, if they age too long, the chemicals break down. But certain things like this and Culver's root, for example, you want to age for a year because the chemicals are so strong that in about a year, they're down to the level that you can take them without having a lot of side effects with them. The tree here, see how the leaves are coming off at a 45-degree angle, and they're sort of all on one edge of the branch? That's a black gum. This is going to be one of the first, if not the first tree to change colors in the fall. Let you know that fall is coming. And this is what, when people talk about brushing their teeth with a gum, they're not talking, a lot of people know, they say, well, my granny used a sweet gum. And I said, no, it's a black gum. What you do is you stick it in water, pound it, fray it, and it makes a really good toothbrush or a snuff dipper. You know,
My granny used it for snuff.
For dipping stuff or for brushing your teeth after you dip stuff. And it has chemicals in it that actually whiten the teeth. And it's another one of the good medicines to help reduce fevers without raising the sweat. You probably, we'll see it again. If I skip some things.
Daryl, there's one right there.
Okay, if I didn't skip some things, we'd be in that same spot back there. Anybody want to hazard a guess? It goes hand in hand with the sourwood tree because you can make arrow shafts out of it. It's called arrowwood or maple leaf viburnum. Notice how it looks like the leaf looks like a maple leaf on it with the black berries. This is in the same family as high bush cranberry that you can eat. And technically, you can eat these, but they're not good. And but the main use for it is for sarcophagic mange in dogs. You boil it up and wash the dog in it, and it kills the bugs. The tree on the other side with the big leaves, which is my favorite tree, is what we call a cucumber magnolia. And up here you'll see cucumber magnolias, some of the microphylla, the smaller ones. They're all deciduous magnolias. Now come on through. They're all a deciduous magnolia, and it's one of the best anti-inflammatory barks you can get for arthritis. Love it. As we get close enough, I'll get a little piece of bark you can smell, and it's got a definite odor that you'll know. It doesn't stink, but it's one you'll remember. But it's a magnolia that loses its leaves in the spring, and the macrophylla version of it will have leaves this long and blooms the size of a dinner plate.
Are they up here?
There might be a few up this way. You'll see them in the Bankhead National Forest everywhere. Long enough where you could use it as an umbrella in the rain. But you use the inner bark of it, and it is a powerful anti-inflammatory. And it's one I like to mix with prickly ash, and they work real well together. And we'll see some of that after a while. Okay. Who has not eaten sassafras seed?
Is that what we had a while ago?
Have you eaten the leaves?
Eating it.
Choose the leaf up.
Plain old kiss it now.
Check that. Right there. It'll get real slimy.
Oh, that's good to know.
You want some?
It's a mucilaginous herb, and it has a nice, pleasant lemon flavor to it.
What's it called?
What is this?
What's it called?
Sassafras.
Sassafras.
I just put it in my mouth.
As in sassafras tea. But a lot of you have eaten this before because the leaves, when you dry them and powder them, become what?
Filet for gumbo.
Filet for making filet gumbo, which is just a thickener for soups and stews and roux. Now, this is one of the big medicine chests of the forest. If you start from the root, make sassafras tea. It's a liver herb, cleanses the liver and the kidneys, increases digestive ability of the body, antiviral, one of the best antivirals you can get out there, really good for shingles, chicken pox, any member of the herpes simplex family. You make a tea out of it and wash your hair, it'll make it shiny and grow. If you take the leaves, you can make and it's a blood thinner too, by the way, so if you're on Coumadin, you got to be aware of that. It's a wonderful hair wash, wonderful for lice. If you make a hair rinse out of it, it'll kill lice in children. In fact, people used to take sassafras root bark and you put it in your smokehouse wherever you're hanging your meat to keep bugs out of the meat. If you take a big branch of this, split it down the middle, open it up, it's got a white pith in the center. That white pith, if you put it in hot water, like a hot poultice out, put it on your eyes, it'll cure pink eye.
Oh.
Clear it up. Very good. If you make a tea out of it, drink it, not scalding hot, but like a nice warm cup of tea at night, it'll make you sleep like a baby. And if you mix it with yellow root, which we're going to see here in a minute, and drink it every day in the wintertime, you won't get sick. Because it's antiviral, the yellow root's
You're sick from
antibacterial,
yellow
keeps you from getting sick. Okay, wahoo, also known as hearts are bursting with love, or euonymus. So when you go to Lowe's at the garden shop and get euonymus for your yard, you're just getting a domesticated variety of this. They're not as pretty. I don't think they're as pretty as these. They've got more fruit on them and a lot more leaves, but they don't stand out as much. Back in the 1800s, mainly the mid to late 1800s, this was an officially recognized medical substitute for digitalis for the heart. Does the same thing. It got its name wahoo because the first settlers would see an Indian maker medicine giving it to a patient for the flu or for cold, and they said they'd jump around going wahoo wahoo to scare the evil spirits out of it.
Yeah.
You do have to be careful with it because it is like taking digitalis. Not one you normally start off using because it is toxic. Sort of. But it's very pretty. Very beautiful plant. It's called hearts bursting with love because as they dry, they open up and the fruit
So the
comes
fruit,
out.
so the digitalis is actually in the
In-
fruit or
in
the
the
bark?
bark.
Okay.
Use the bark.
That's what-
Chestnut does too. These are small. They're like small.
Oh, I got the chestnut.
For the rotten walk and fancy looking. I didn't eat them.
Okay, where's our handy dandy volunteer? You look like a volunteer today too. All right, around these shady creek banks, especially sandy soil, see the yellow root. Nice and yellow. Here, tell you what.
Yeah, man, you need to test
We can share this out. There's enough here. Take that and just sort of chew on it, suck on it, and you'll taste the berberine in it.
Yeah, bitter. But that's for the flu, right? That's the one.
No, this is not for the flu.
Antibiotic.
This is an antibiotic.
Oh, an antibiotic.
Natural antibiotic.
Tasty thing in the world.
One of the best in the world.
Yellow root.
Yellow root. That's what it is.
I've had some, thank you.
Even though you're using the stem.
Yeah.
But your stomach ulcers too.
It's really not that bad. The tea is.
But after a while, you get
Awful,
used to
isn't
it. A lot of people will chew it if they're trying to stop smoking. And every time they feel like the urge to smoke. It is a natural, powerful antibiotic, but this will knock out a stomach ulcer and a mouth ulcer just in a short period of time. Just kill it graveyard dead, as they say. Very, very effective for that. And good for candida, anything bacterially, fungal infections, you name it, it's good for it. You can use it internally or you can use it in skin salves as well. One of my favorite plants to use. The one above it, this one, who recognizes this one? Witch hazel. So if you want to make your own witch hazel, which is, of course it's cheaper at Walmart, but you can take this and make witch hazel out of the bark. This is one that blooms, has yellow, weird looking yellow blooms in the winter time, so people think spring's here when it's not. It blooms in the winter time. Has yellow blooms, and the seeds on this will actually pop out like jewel wheat seeds do. But anything, bug bites, insect stings, poison ivy, tighten your skin up, very good for that.
Yellow is nasty.
I bought some water to wash it down.
I'll let you eat this.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect.
How much you have to take though?
Anybody recognize this? Don't say black cherry, because it's not black cherry.
You can, but you have to take probiotics afterwards.
Huh?
American beach.
No,
It'll kill all
wrong
of it.
color bark. Wrong texture bark. How about sweet birch? If we get a branch, actually that little rotunda over here, I can get to them, there's some more. If you take a branch of this, break it and smell it, it'll smell like those old beech nut candy gums and stuff. It's really, really nice smelling.
So is that a beech nut tree? Is that what he's?
No, that's a birch. That's a birch. Called a sweet birch.
I used to love that beech nut gum.
Beech nut tobacco.
Oh, I hadn't had that now.
I'm kidding.
I had the beech nut gum.
Pass that around, smell it. You see what I'm talking about? Does that not smell good? It smells like those root beer candies and stuff you can get.
Oh, yeah. Little barrel root beer.
That's called sweet.
Oh! I love that.
Also called black birch.
And what's it taste like?
Like it smells.
It's like it smells.
When you get a big piece of bark. This is
Smell it.
one of the sources.
Is that edible? Yummy.
Or does it smell good?
I don't know. I want to taste it because I got yellow root in my mouth. Yeah, what
You smell this, you'll forget about it.
Yeah, you can't eat yellow root. You can't eat yellow root.
Can you chew? Oh, yeah.
You're not supposed to. No, you're not. No, you're not supposed to eat it.
Oh, well,
Don't even put it in your mouth.
I just eat it.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
I know you belong to this group.
I kind of stick out.
Oh, yeah, that's a whole lot better than yellow root. Yeah, I could eat this. I like that. Oh!
You're lucky as I am. Roll it all up and give it to me.
Alright, this is my favorite plant in the world, Nick, for energy. Pass that around, let me see it. It's called crossvine. Makes ginseng look pitiful. It is a wonderful...
Anything that climbs up a tree, I'm scared of.
Oh no, it's not poison ivy. This stuff
And it's called what?
called crossvine. After about 3 days of drinking the tea, you realize you got more energy, more stamina, you just feel better. It also has a chemical in it called reserpine, which is an antipsychotic. So if you're a little psycho, it'll help you with that.
I maybe need to nibble on that thing.
Makes it real
Very, very good for you though. Actually what it does is that it acts as a mood elevator, antidepressant.
Can you? But if you're already on a antidepressant, don't touch, don't mix.
You know, you would watch it, but it's not gonna hurt you. I've never seen anybody have an issue with it. But after about 3 days, if you drink, say a Dr. Pepper, and you're not used to it, you know how you go boom. Take ginseng, you go and then slowly come back down. With crossvine, you just slowly go up. You just sort of stay up there for a long period of time before it quietly wears off. But it makes a great tasting hot tea I like in the wintertime.
Just a leaf.
Take a couple of 3 leaves, boil them until it turns water a golden brown, add a little sugar or honey to it, and enjoy it. This is one that in the days when they plowed with horses and mules, they would give this to them when they were worn out, their kidneys were shutting down, and they were being plowed to death, basically. And this would get them about 3 days, they'd be back up and plowing again.
It's always 2 leaves across from 2 leaves.
Doesn't matter. Well, if you want to, this grows year round anyway. I mean, it's an evergreen, so you can always find it. If you see a vine in the wintertime climbing a tree, it's either sawbriar, honeysuckle, or crossvine. I'm gonna let everybody get up. It's just too hard for everybody. Yeah, there's the yellow rig going all the way up here. You got to go up anything. This time it'll be straighter downhill. All right, so you see a little more crossvine right there. But the wild ginger, for those of you who have not smelled it.
Is this crossfire also?
Yes, ma'am.
Walmart. Look at this.
Okay, no, smell that and pass around. This is wild ginger. It's not your ginger you get in the store, but you can candy it just the same and cook with it the same. This is another one of the ingredients in root beer and in sarsaparilla drink. If you take the leaves, dry them, powder them up, talcum powder fine, you can snuff it up your nose and it'll clean your sinuses out. If you don't do it talcum powder fine, it'll touch your sinuses and make them bleed for about 3 days. But this is, if you look at the shape, what shape is it? Heart. Old Doctor's Signatures, it was used some in heart medications, calm the heart down. It's a very good, for colds, it'll make you break a sweat. You make it as a hot tea using the roots.
Sniff it, sniff it.
And we got 4 or 5 varieties that grow in this park here, and they all work the same. This is one that a lot of people think is poison ivy. Crossvine. Can't be crossvine.
Virginia creeper.
Virginia creeper. How many leaves?
5.
1. Thank you, Mary Ellen. 1 leaf, 5 leaflets. She's falling for it enough.
No, he's
But
not
she
yet.
finally figured it out. But anyway, if you see something with what looks like 5 leaves, can't be poison ivy, poison oak, or anything like that, because it's got 5. They have 3. In the spring and summer, this actually can be used by a wash by most, not everybody, because some people are sensitive to it, but most people can use this as a wash for poison ivy and poison oak, which doesn't grow here. We don't have some we have poison ivy here. In the fall, when these leaves start to turn color, don't use it because it can break you out and give you contact dermatitis. But in spring and summer, it's okay for most people. The berries on this are slightly toxic, but they were actually used for fevers in children at one point in time.
What was that called?
Virginia creeper, also called American woodbine. Another name that it went by in some of the books, because there was a woodbine in England that it looks similar to. Now, who does not want to be allergic to poison ivy? Okay. In the spring, when the leaves are about that big, you take 3 of the leaves, put them in a gelatin capsule, and take 1 capsule every 2 or 3 days for 2 weeks. And it'll give you at least a year's worth of immunity to it.
For 2 or 3 days?
Every 2 or 3 days.
Oh, every 2.
Say that one more time.
Okay, in the spring when the leaves are the size of a mouse's ear, that's what they always said. You take 3 leaves. When Tommy Bass told me about it, he said put it in a piece of bread. Just don't touch your lips and you're okay. And so now I just put them in capsules because it's just easier. A pair of tweezers, pick them off, put them in a gelatin capsule, close it up, and then in about 2 days they'll quit. They'll warp for a day or 2 just because of the moisture in them. Then they'll dry back out. And then just I do it every day for 2 weeks, so I'll remember to do it. But if you do it at least every couple or 3 days, it'll change your immune system to where you're not sensitive to it. The longer I've done it, the less sensitive. Even the years I forget to do it, the less I am.
And how long do you take it?
For 2 weeks, and it'll give you at least a year's worth. Now, I'm not going to go just roll in it, but at the same time, I'm in the woods enough gathering stuff where I normally get 6 or 7 cases a year, and now I don't.
What about sumac?
Maybe 1 or 2 times in little blisters.
Does that help with sumac?
You don't have poison sumac here. It's a coastal plant, say Wetumpka, Montgomery on south. All of the sumacs up here are wonderful medicinal plants, and they're great to make lemonade from. The red fruits make wonderful pink lemonade. But people hear sumac and they assume poison. The poison sumac has white berries that hang off underneath the branches, and they grow around swamps. Occasionally, it's been known to pop up on the Tennessee River, but that's not even common there.
Okay.
Okay. Now this is one y'all haven't seen yet. All right. When you're up in this part of the world, say from, really Birmingham's got it too out in the woods, but North Alabama, you get the mountain laurels and rhododendrons. Don't use them. They're very toxic. Don't burn the wood because the smoke's toxic. This is a rhododendron. You can see the difference, the bigger leaves. Whereas if you look around, you'll see the smaller leaves ones where past, those are all mountain laurels. But you can use it in a liniment. You soak it in rubbing alcohol and rub it on an arthritic joint. It's real good for that. Just don't use it internally. Even the honey is even toxic when the bees make it. If they have, like in the Smokies where they can get into large amounts of it, it's even poisonous. Now this little plant here, this is one of the few places I've ever seen it growing in this part of the country. And it's called a white hellebore, Hellebore. It has cardiac glycosides in it. You don't want to take this. Very poisonous. It's what's called a verachum, I think verachum viride, I believe. But the one below it is really good. You see, all up through here, you're going to see a little ground cover. These little tiny leaves, and they'll have orangey red berries on them, which you can eat. They're sort of like a bland apple. But it's called squavine, or partridge berry, or twin berry, or deer berry. This is one that still, you see this in health food stores being sold still. It's used to make labor go easier and for menstrual irregularities.
What is it?
squavine, partridge berry. The botanical name is Michella repens. It's just sort of dry and pithy. That's what they remind me of.
You use the berry.
Use the whole June berry, and it'll have really good fruit on it when you get a big tree. Very good to eat. They call them June berries because up north it was June before you could bury everybody, and that's when you buried them. That's when these were blooming.
Oh, I know it. It's hard to do.
Keyed on me. They will. Nervy. I'm not kidding, this poor old lady.
I got a knee brace I can let you use.
I'm going to give in to it.
So we get a fireman's carry. Make a poultice for them quickly.
This right here is not a very fancy looking plant, but when it blooms in the early spring, you can smell this a half-mile away. It's called trailing arbutus, or trailing arbutus. Tiny little pinkish white bloom. Resembles the squavine blooms, but I'm not kidding. You could smell this to the road just about. They're so aromatic. It's considered a threatened plant in the southeast. Then you got some more of the, looks like Shuttlesworth ginger. And then see all these in here that very sharply, they're stiff leaves. And we'll see some big ones out here that are about that big. This is called galax, or beetleweed. When this, in fact, I smell some still. There's got a few blooms left. But when they bloom in the summertime, on the other side of the road where we didn't take the trail, it smells like little dog turds all down the trail because they stink.
And that's what?
It's called galax.
Oh, galax. Yeah.
It's another threatened plant because it was used so much in the floral industry because the leaves, if you feel, these are leathery and they last a long time.
Yeah.
And so they're used a lot in decorations and stuff. Oh, yeah. And so people just rip them out, so they're considered a threatened plant in most areas. Illegal to pick. By the way, it's illegal to pick in this park.
Oh.
So have much of a look to it. It's actually one we got some in the yard. This is called fairy wand.
Fairy wand?
Called a fairy wand. It'll send up a spike. There's male and female plants on this. So one spike will be a tall, straight up spike of white flowers. The other one will come up and it sort of curls over. And it's a fairy wand, also called one of the unicorn roots. It's a both a male and female use Angelica. It's a male aphrodisiac. There's a long taproot on it.
Yeah.
Smells stinky. This is a lichen that grows on trees. It'll grow on rocks. A lot of different places. This is when oozing it up into the 1930s, the two most popular antibiotics used by doctors was colloidal silver and usnea. And this is a powerful antibiotic for gram-negative and gram-positive bacteria. And it's USNEA. And it's what's called usnic acid in it, or ooznic acid, some people say. It's used in Japan, and I think in Norway, they make salves out of it for third-degree burn victims to keep them from getting infection and dying of infection while they're in the units. You can use this and it also works on viruses as well. So you can use this for everything from pink eye to the flu to anything, just about anything bacterial or virally related in the body. The further north you go, especially up in the Smokies, we're up there, you'll see it growing this long stuff. And there's a version of this out west that's called old man's beard, and it's an alectoria, but it has the ooznic acid, and it'll be like Spanish moss coming down. But it's a wonderful one. And also, when you're walking through these woods up this way, especially, you see what we call reindeer moss on the ground. It looks like a grayish-green brain and sticking on the ground. And that has ooznic acid also in it. Lady slippers.
I've heard of those.
Those are pink lady slippers.
Oh. There's one behind
It's an actual orchid. See it there? Okay. Anyways, you get up close, you'll see them. They're pink lady slippers. Now, there's also yellow lady slippers up here that grow, but they grow solitary. They grow about that tall. These have a pink-looking bloom that looks like a slipper. Call it moccasin flower. The yellow one is a yellow moccasin flower. The roots on these are the reason that a lot of these are considered endangered or threatened. In some states you can't pick them because it was called nerve root, and it was very powerful calming agent used for hysterical women.
People had the Sand Mountain fever.
And the little plant below it,
yeah. Sand Mountain what?
with the long leaves here are dwarf irises. They have blue flowers with some white in them. A lot of times they have a little bit of yellow in the throat. And these are real good liver herbs, but you have to know how to use them. There's a bigger one called a blue flag iris. It gets about that big. It's a powerful liver medicine, laxative, tonic. See all the acorns coming down? Number one, come back to me in the spring if I'm wrong. Cold, wet, snowy winter coming. Be prepared. Cut your firewood now. Big crop of acorns. You can take these, boil them up, and remember on the Beverly Hillbillies, what was Granny's 2 remedies? First one was? No. Firewater, her moonshine.
Firewater.
Second one was her swamp water. And that's all that, where water just sits in an old stump, or stump water, and it pulls the tannic acid out. That would have taken care of the English ivy outbreak on you real quick. And this makes a wonderful, powerful astringent. But also, you can make a hot tea out of this, soak your feet in it, and it'll kill any kind of fungal infection. Athlete's foot, toe crud, doesn't matter what it is. It'll get rid of it. It's also, because it's an astringent, it shrinks moist tissue, and so it's good for broken capillaries, spider veins, things of that nature.
Those are acorns?
Because of the tannic acid in the acorn.
No, it's an acorn.
Yeah, these are the acorns off of. Any idea what acorn tree this is? Well, considering that's a maple, it can't be from that. So,
Yeah, you can dry that and make a flour out of it.
if you leach the tannins out.
So, and how do you leach the tannins? By boiling it?
You
Is that
can,
what you
well,
said?
that you can. The easiest way to do it is to put them. Is to open. You cut these open, split them. You can pull them out in 2 pieces. Put them in a mesh bag and put it in your reservoir for your commode. So every time you flush it,
Yeah, it washes.
it drains it out because that's clean water. As opposed, don't put it in the bottom one.
Yeah, the gray
Put it in
water.
the top one.
Yeah, gotcha.
And works real well. And actually, cold water takes longer, but it leaches it out better. You get more material out of it. But you can heat it and boil it. Boil it and throw the water off. It takes about 4 or 5 times, and it'll make a real good, strong flour that you can use. No gluten, so you have to mix it with other things. But these are really powerful medicine. You can also use this for a wet cough because of its drying action. And we'll come pick you up at the bottom. So you can use this for a wet cough because it'll dry it up. But if you've got like at the top there, just don't use it because that's not what you want to do. You want to use it when you got lots of phlegm in your lungs to bring them out. And
So he said early
The
winter.
persimmons are also pretty good.
Cold, wet.
cold, wet winter. Ooh, where'd you find that? Did you find more than one?
There's like 3 together.
Uh-oh.
Time to keep our eyes peeled.
There's no more. You got the last one.
Oh, right.
This is a little sapphire.
A little what?
It's a little sapphire on roots. It's in what we call in the fungus family. You can't transplant these; they'll die. Anybody remember what we were talking about in classes for? The pure white ones, especially, but these will work too. Powerful pain reliever. One of the best out there. It's just so dang hard to get hold of. Because you got to get this time of year and find clumps of it. Make a tincture with it.
What is it you said?
That.
So that's not something I can chew on.
No.
Oh, well.
Let me put it this way. Non-narcotic, non-habit forming, almost as strong as opium.
Wow. Okay.
I better take him home. Show up on a drug screen.
Spoon with these.
Yeah.
Tablespoon.
Yeah. 15 to 30 is the average range for most tinctures, but not always. Because like we were talking about poke root this morning, powerful anti-cancer herb, powerful lymph mover. It'll knock a virus out in a heartbeat, but you start with 1 drop. Because it's so strong.
I guess the leaves are... Yeah, probably good for something you have to cook, you reckon?
Well, it's a good blood purifier and it's a good liver herb. Right. And it tastes just like opium.
I'm throwing in my flour bed. I can send you rid of black holes between.
All right, there's a rattlesnake in the way there.
Oh, I ain't got no rattlesnake.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, I need a light. I know you got a light.
What is it like it?
This is the reindeer moth.
Let me get up here and show you.
All right. You think just very lightly feel it. It feels like it's dead. It's not. When it rains, it'll go back to being soft again. And this has the oozenic acid in it as well. But if you're out camping or hiking and you need to start a fire when it's dry,
So for a
Wow.
survivor,
watch how
there we
well
go.
it burns. It burns hot. And you see the smoke in it? Has
Yeah,
got
it's
a black
dropping off.
layer. It's got what are called
Cool.
terpenes in it that are volatile oils that burn. But see how well that burns? See how well the forest
You got
burns?
some other things.
Yeah.
Shall we call 911 now?
They'll never find us.
922.
Smokey would be so disappointed.
All right. Muscadine. If you go to the health food store or to Walmart and buy resveratrol, the best source of resveratrol comes from muscadine seeds. They're higher than anything. The the resveratrol you're buying though is actually made from a plant called Japanese knotweed. Most of it is. But this is a powerful source of resveratrol as an antioxidant to scavenge free radicals in the body.
So don't spit the seeds out.
What do you do with the seeds?
You can boil them or you can tincture them, either one. Or you can grind them up and put them in capsules if you wanted to. The vine, though, the traditional use for it was to take the leaves, strip them off, take the big vines, you know how you get a big vine like that especially, dry it, burn it to an ash, and then use a spoonful of ash and 8 ounces of water for internal cancers. It's a blood purifier and strengthens the body. And that's how you had to burn it to release those chemicals. Then,
Muscadine. You got stuff in here.
You got muscadine.
Oh, you got muscadines, really? We brought muscadine. She brought muscadine for a snack today. That's good. Where'd you get them, by the way?
I'm coming to it. Let me get this real quick and we'll do it.
That's that crooked tree.
Then here you got your little wild cherry. All right. Smell that. Pass around and smell that. What you're smelling? What nut does that remind you of?
It was a,
Almonds.
yeah.
Cyanide.
Cyanide.
That is cyanide
Not
you're
many, I
smelling.
think only a lot of people can't smell cyanide. Can they? Yeah.
Only if you're trying to get rid of them, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, but seriously, I don't think a lot of people can smell cyanide.
avoid this one.
Women can
But
smell it.
if you buy almonds,
can't.
you've got two types of almonds that
yeah.
you can buy.
Smell
You've got
almonds.
sweet almonds, which they don't list them as that, and you've got what they call bitter almonds. Bitter almonds, they actually have to boil the almonds before they package them and sell them because some types have such high amounts of cyanide in them that it's water soluble, so they boil them to get the cyanide off, and then the package is sold as regular almonds. But this is what's called a hydrocyanic cough sedative. So if you take too much of this cyanide, it slows your respiratory rate down. But if you take it in the right amounts, like with peach leaf tea or cherry leaf tea, it calms the spasms down. Very effective for that. It's called hydrocyanic acid, and it's a hydrocyanic cough
What's the
sedative.
name of the plant?
Wild cherry. Any of the cherries will do it, as well as peach leaves and plums. They all have cyanide in them.
So is it similar to like I hear you saying hydro something else. Is it like hydrocodone? Like
No,
that keeps the
it's
cough.
it's hydrocyanic.
Hydrocyanic.
It just means it's a water-based chemical, so that you can boil it
water.
and extract the cyanide. That's how they make them safe to eat.
Okay.
The same thing if you buy tapioca. Tapioca is made from the cassava root, the yucca root. Some varieties of it are very toxic, but they have to extract that cyanide out of them in order to use it. The little one below it here, you got to be careful because this one has a lot of thorns on it, is a hawthorn. This is one that is very good. It works. It's safe to use, but it works sort of in a similar fashion to digitalis. It slows and strengthens the heart and improves electrical conductivity throughout the heart. And you use the flowers and the fruit. And it's about 100 varieties of this. They hybridize a lot too. If you've ever heard of mayhaw jelly, that's a hawthorn. That's all it is. We saw some yesterday. These are the ones that if you see winter huckleberry, we're on the drier edge of the mountain. We're not to the northwest wet side yet. We're up in a dry ridge, actually because we're in a ridge. So we're seeing a mixture of some things. But this is one that you boil the branches, make a tea that tastes like boiled cabbage, sort of, and in about a week it'll regulate blood pressure and blood sugar. Really effective. I use this a lot with people.
What about the berries? Are they tasty?
Yeah, the berry after the frost hits them, then you can and then they there's more stone to fruit in them. Once frost hits them, and then you make jelly and stuff. Pies is really good. All right, what's the tree that everybody keeps picking at? You two, Echo and Jekyll here.
No, seriously, we've been sitting here trying to figure it out and asking behind your back while
My best guess was swamp white oak,
Why would it be swamp white oak?
Popped in her head.
Good guess.
but is it?
Swamp white oak.
Yay!
The chestnut oak has a narrower leaf. These have up here the biggest acorns you'll find will be on these swamp white oaks. In fact, the ones on Bellevue where we live, they're about that big, about like that. The biggest acorns in the state, and I said the sawtooth oak, but they're actually called is a bur oak. And if you look them up on the internet, they'll be about that big. That's big an acorn down to South Alabama. They grow up here. I've seen them off our bluff before, but it's a smaller one. And you can always tell a bur oak because it's got a big giant cap, looks like a skirt all the way around it. And sometimes it'll close up the nut. It's so big a cap. But this is a swamp white oak. These will make nuts every year, and they are a prime indicator of weather, of how the winter's going to go. Like I said, cold, snowy, wet. Be prepared.
Is it size
Get your
or
firewood in.
quantity?
Avoid wood-burning stove screws in your driveway.
Look at all there.
You would set this whole area burning. That is a neurotoxic poison that does resemble frostbite, but here's how you can tell the difference. Oh, you won't mistake it, because here's the difference. See the Carolina jasmine? The leaves are just two across. You don't have the double groups. So you tell the flowers in the late winter and spring are yellow. You'll see jasmine bloom in big yellow blooms. Crossvine has the same shaped bloom, but it's a solid orangey red color with a yellow throat, and it's a lot bigger. But you don't want to get into Carolina jasmine because it's a neurotoxic poison. That is good for typhoid fever.
Which one? The typhoid fever? Yeah.
The Carolina jasmine
Yeah,
for
I don't
typhoid
want
fever.
I don't get to cross mine. Yeah.
Okay, we better head back that way. Blazing star. If you go to a florist, they call it liatris, or gay flower. That's sort of appropriate. Anyway, long story, some of you know. Anyway, liatris, blazing star, the root is a little bulb. Stop diarrhea like the gaboon, like a plug. Recognize it? This is one. I know where, if you want some, we can get it that's off state property up in Minton.
Okay.
All right, anybody recognize this besides my class? Okay, this, for those of you who have never seen it before, is St. John's wort. This is one called shrubby St. John's wort because it grows up as a big shrub, and they'll get, about that tall. Blooms are this big, big giant fuzzy blooms that the bumblebees in the summertime just go nuts over. But this is what you can make your St. John's wort antidepressant out of.
Oh, it's somebody washing off.
Washing a trailer. We're back out to this one part of the road.
In the campground.
Everybody run. But you can take the blooms, use them in tinctures for mild to moderate depression, or you make an oil, medicated oil out of it for bruises and sprains. But these will be beautiful. When they bloom, they are gorgeous.
Oh, this is hard.
This is the type of area that they grow in. There's this
Yep,
type of land.
like mine.
All right. And it's about to bloom.
Yep.
All right. This here is called pineapple weed. But it's actually a type of St. John's wort. Sure doesn't look like the other one, does it? But you'll see the tiny little yellow blooms coming out on it. But if you pick it, smell it, it's got a citrusy smell to it. Well, I guess I picked it off. Oops. What's that smell? It smells really clean and fresh. Pineapple weed is a type of St. John's wort. It's a hypericum. Now all of the little plants you'll see all around it that look alike here are a type of spurge. So if you pick it, you're going to see a milky sap, well I need to get out of the leaves, a milky sap come out of the leaves, Not much on these. These are drying up. And that sap will take off water.
It seems like that's out of place.
It's not though. A lot of people think that these little prickly pear cactuses are planted. These are the native cactus we've got here. They're normal for this area. They grow from Florida up to about New York State and I think New Jersey. And they work just the same as the Western cactus do. You can eat the pads just like you do regular nopales you get at Trade Day from the Mexicans. You can take the fruit when it turns red and make jelly out of it. This is also, if you hear on TV, the big commercial now for that anti-inflammatory nopalea. It's just the fruit of the cactus plant.
Oh my God.
That's all it is. It's the right
You can't
fruit.
get rid of it either.
Make it juice. And but this has what are called mucopolysaccharides, large chain sugar molecules, very good for diabetes and for burns. We were talking about earlier for arthritis, mixing what the cucumber tree bark with prickly ash. This is the prickly ash. It's also called devil's walking stick or Hercules club because of the thorns on it. This is one, I want you to smell it, because when you smell it, you're going to always know it. It's got a medicinal odor to it. Do that. Here you go, pass that around. Smell that. It doesn't sting. It doesn't sting, but it's got a definite, it's got a medicine type odor to it, not a pleasant, sweet odor. But these are powerful anti-inflammatory,
Prickly ash.
and it moves lymph in the system. It'll get lymph
That is
flowing.
the berries,
Or
right?
devil's walking stick.
The berries. Berries. that he
No, the
showed.
tree. It's a prickly ash
Tree.
bush or
Okay,
tree.
but it has the berries, correct? The
Yeah,
blackberries.
mhm,
Okay.
yeah.
For film.
Anyway, this is one that a lot of people have in their fields and pastures. It's a type of eupatorium, which makes it in the boneset family, but it's not bitter. In fact, take a bite. You'll like the taste of
I
it.
like this one.
You'll like this. It's not bitter. It's not bitter at all. It's very
I'm a
pleasant.
guinea
tasting.
pig. Oh,
It's also called dog fennel. It's very good for any kind of influenza. Very dog fennel, or dog DOG, or also called summer cedar.
it looks like the greens of fennel.
But it's actually sort of tasty. Now this is the St. John's wort still blooming. Now, but imagine the flower twice this big. On a big one, that's how big they are. They'll be twice that size. And they'll always be covered in bumblebees in the summertime. They love them, but it's a beautiful plant. And if you find the seeds, every one of these seeds will sprout. It's really an easy plant to. And if you don't remember anything else I told you today, remember this one. Oh, there you, I'm sorry. He said, what? Yeah, or if you're at Ed's house, it would be about 10 times bigger. You got moisture there. This is one of the best plants for neutralizing toxins from spider bites and insect stings. This will flat out stop a brown recluse spider bite from ulcerating.
Wow.
The plantain. You can take and pack this around a gum, make a hot wet poultice out of it, pack it around your gum. It'll drain and clean an abscess and neutralize the poison. Bee stings, it'll stop them in their tracks.
So do
Spider ant bites.
you use the leaves or
The leaves, use the leaves. And if you're 56 and older, you've used this as Metamucil. So that's where the seeds are made into Metamucil. You don't normally see the fruit on these. All right,
I see some up there. There's little.
that's what I'm saying, you don't normally see them. All right, if you look at these leaves,
Oh yeah, I see little berries.
you can see that they're serrated very finely. This is one called black haw. This is actually rusty black haw. But black haw was an old-time uterine sedative. So if somebody was threatening to miscarry, this is what you give them. Or if somebody's having a painful period, this will sedate the uterus and stop the spasms. So cotton roots try to abort their babies if they didn't want them. The slave owners would make them take this to counteract the effect of the cotton root. All right, you're going to see a lot of this blooming everywhere. This is called summer boneset or queen of the meadow, but it's not the Joe Pye weed queen of the meadow. But it is in the same family. You can always tell it because it looks like bugs have just, somebody shot it full of shotgun holes. And as they get bigger, they'll turn purple. This is real good for backaches due to the kidneys acting up on you. And they'll, when they bloom, smell the sweet odor to them. Sometimes you can smell it on the air. And it's full of lightning bugs. Yeah. Then you've got this one, which is called hyssop. Let's see. Who wants to try some hyssop? Anybody?
Oh wait, that's the bitter herb.
Never mind. Anybody still want to try it?
I'll try it.
Try it. It's not that.
What
It's
do
not
you do?
that
Just
bad.
take a bite?
Just take a big bite. It's not that bad.
That's not bad at all.
Yeah.
Went to a Passover thing.
The hitch hyssop, which has the cat's paw leaf on it, is more bitter than that. The what?
What's it for? Bitter.
A bitter tonic is a liver stimulant, cleanses the liver, aids in digestion.
What's it called again?
Hyssop, Hyssop. Remember in the Bible it says, "Purge me with hyssop, make me whiter than snow," because it will cleanse you out. Hey, Daryl? Oh, is it good? Yeah.
Oh, 40 Mountain Mint. Oh,
This is one you always want to know because it smells so good. Take your one, not saying to eat it, crush it, just rub it up real good and then smell it. This is one of the
Leaves.
crush the plant and smell it.
I like the smell already.
What does it remind you of? How about Dick Salve, camphor? Very good for the sinuses, the lungs. It's also a source of Thymol, like you get Listerine. So it's a good antiseptic mouthwash.
What's the name?
It's called Hoary, Hory, like a white hoary cast beard or hair, mountain mint. Because you can see the white powdery look they'll get, like that.
Yeah, it builds up.
Best part, if you know, is the root. The whole thing's okay, but the best part's the root. Real good, like people have a backache because their kidneys are acting need to be flushed. It stimulates and it flushes the kidneys and it cleanses them. And it's Eupatorium, but it's not bitter.
Eupatorium.
Now here's one that most people remember, whether they've used it or not. Rabbit tobacco. Now as you come to get you a handful of the leaves and smell them, and you'll always got a definitive odor. This is one if you feel a cold or the flu coming on, make a tea out of this and start drinking on it, and it'll knock it out, make it go away a lot faster. This has what are called triterpenes and diterpenes and biterpenes in it too. But these terpenes, if they touch a virus, they knock it out for a loop. If you rabbit tobacco, like you smoke, you get behind the barn and smoke rabbit tobacco in the pipe. If you take it and smoke it when it dries, blow it out your sinuses, it'll shrink them down temporarily. If you smoke it and inhale it in your lungs, if you got like a bunch of fluid in your lungs, as soon as you inhale it, it'll make you start coughing it up. Now, if you'll notice though how the plant right now is all white and green, it's white underneath, green on top, the terpenes aren't as strong as they will be later when the top of the leaves turn brown and it's white underneath. That's the best time to gather, but this will still work okay now. Very common. It's called life everlasting because even in the wintertime it still looks like it's alive. It's called pestweed. It actually is. Usually when I say pestweed, that means don't be a pest. This is actually called pestweed. And it'll have a dandelion looking bloom on it. But I believe, yeah. Yeah, this stuff to open up. This has already gone to seed.
Don't smell anything.
So pestweed. Blooms on this? Smell how good it smells. Well, it's a matter of opinion, I guess.
Oh, yeah. It's better when it's
Pennyroyal.
This is pennyroyal?
Pennyroyal. This is American pennyroyal.
more round.
In alcohol, to put it in a spritz bottle, spray it on you, it's a great bug repellent.
Well, that's what we're just talking about. It kind of smells like.
Don't use it if you're pregnant, internally, because it will cause miscarriage. But most of the mints will if you take too much of them.
Wait for you, then.
Yeah, don't be obvious that you've been picking them so close. We want to go across back down. That's where we can count. Okay, well, we'll go back up here and hold it. It's already been.
Good bug repellent.
All right. This plant here, which you're going to find growing out in the woods too, but people grow in the gardens, is beautyberry. Also called American beautyberry, French mulberry. The berries are actually, when they come out, are going to be purple later on, just like the flowers, or pinkish.
Wow, look at
Yeah.
Oh, okay, see?
Wow.
But if you take those leaves, berries, every bit of it, pack it in a jar, pour rubbing alcohol on it, and leave it for a day, it'll turn the liquid so dark green it looks black. Put that in a spritz bottle, and flying bugs will not bite you. They may buzz you, but they will not land and bite. Mosquitoes, black flies, deer fly. Pretty good for ticks. Beautyberry, and it grows all throughout these woods. It doesn't look like it's a native plant, but it is.
Yeah, use the leaves, berries.
All of it. Just crush it all up and put it
Yeah,
in
use the
alcohol.
berries, the